I start
I can
record.
put it on here.
And please
Okay,
everybody
we'll just
mute.
Just getting the poem. It's just the way. Getting the poem. Okay.
We're just getting the poem up on screen. There we go. Are you ready, Benji?
This is called spring. Spring, you beautiful thing. When all the baby animals come into the world, they play with friends and go outside and have a wonderful time. Oh spring, you beautiful thing. With flowers and baby animals, oh spring, you beautiful thing. One of my favorite seasons when it's all nice and warm. So colorful, so colorful. Your bright colors make the day shine.
Hey, well done, Benji.
That was wonderful.
Yeah, very nice.
Well
Yeah.
Beautiful poem, Benji.
Very good, Benji.
Yeah, that's great. Well, thank you for reading. Now you can
You
go
are
It's good that you
get ready
start
for bed.
early.
Yeah, because it's getting late for him.
Yeah.
But thank you for letting him read. He really wanted to, and it wasn't me pushing him. He's seen me do this, and he asked if he could write a poem and join in. So
That's
Cool.
excellent.
Cool.
Very good.
thank you for having him.
It was wonderful.
Yeah.
Bjorn, I cannot find how to mute myself. Can you mute me?
No, I don't think I can. If you look in the bottom of your screen, there are three little buttons. One with a microphone on, and one is to hang up, and one is to shut off the video. Can you see them? If you move your mouse around, you will see it.
It says turn off microphone. That's
Yeah, exactly. But now it's your turn. Now the rest of us will mute.
oh, okay. You're tricky on me.
Yeah.
All right. So today I'm going to read a poem that's called Evermore. Top of the hill, treeless, wildflowers blanket the meadow, canopied by cloudless sky, bluebird blue. She stands, sheer linen skirt billowing, arms outstretched, face tipped toward afternoon sun. Long ago declared their place, they still meet here every year. This day, this anniversary of his death. She feels again his touch, so real within the mountain air. Yellow buttercups, glad to see her, wave sprightly in spring's breeze. Delicate petals succumb to wind, part from stem and float toward her, adhere to tear-streaked cheeks, just as his kisses did that final day. Sandals tossed aside, dew-moistened grass licks her toes, and she smiles. He is with her here. Their love was real, still is, and shall be forevermore. So there you go.
I like the alliteration throughout it.
Here.
Very nice.
Yeah,
So beautiful,
very,
Lillian.
very moving.
And Carol has joined since we during the reading. So welcome, Carol.
You want the Starburst one?
Yeah.
Instead?
Yeah.
I want the Starburst one. So
Yeah,
Hello.
Starburst one.
My family's invading.
Oh, I see. I see.
Sorry.
So I'm gonna call you in order, and if I look here, it's Kim next, and I'm gonna go a little bit in the middle as usually. So Kim, would you like to read?
Okie dokie.
Remember to mute.
Remember to mute.
Is it Kim or Ken?
Kim, it's you.
Me. Okay.
It's you.
The poem. Okay. The poem I linked up isn't the one I'm reading. The one I linked up was one from Visual Verse from this month.
Okay.
But what I am going to read is one that I linked up to Earthwheel on Monday. I think you've seen this one, Ingrid. You've read this. I think Ron might have read this as well. I'm not sure. It's called Magpie Eye. Of all the ancient stares of birds, the one that leaves me lost for words is the magpie's when it looks askance
while pecking at the grass and plants in our wild garden. I watch him plucking worms from muddy soil and chatting in his raucous voice. I tell him not to speak, at least not with a big brimming beak, but his shiny eye is like a laser, and birds are ancient, so much wiser, that I step away, go backwards slowly. I accept the magpie, although not wholly, deserves reverence from his feathered birth until his last breath on this place called Earth. That was a sonnet, by the way.
Oh, very nice.
Very good.
I'm
Very
pleased you
good.
read that one.
Thank you.
Pleased you chose that one because I
Yeah, that
enjoyed
was
reading
nice. Should we write? We should all write more sonnets.
it.
Yeah, we should. We'll have to do a sonnet prompt at some point in the near future.
Yeah, I think we had a few,
Nice.
but it's time again. I think.
There's a while ago.
So I'm gonna invite Linda to the stage.
Okay, bear with me. The poem I wrote is called A Rush of Remembrance. No rushing wind is blowing today, for the crisp, clear air is cold and still. As dawn's diligent sun peeks through, melancholy clouds painted in Confederate blue. Birds rejoice from yellow-green budded trees, the only proof that a vibrant spring is near. And in my hungry soul a stirring yearning begins, barred with lines of grief, a watershed of salted tears. Then the sweetest rush of remembrance comes, and I'm shaken to my aching old bones. My name whispered on a downhill rolling breeze, it's time now for you to come home, even though my journey seems it's only begun. The end.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Lovely, Linda. Really beautiful.
Very nice. Very nice.
Thank you.
Really beautiful.
Thank you. I wrote that for Sky Lovers word list. Thanks for sharing that.
Oh.
Sana.
That's a long
Oh,
time
that-
since I wrote
oh,
anything for
that's
Carrie.
nice. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Carrie has her prompts on Instagram mostly.
Yeah, yeah. This is a strange situation. I used to write every day per week, but now since COVID, I work so much harder at home. So I only have time for my diverse prompts. I don't write anything else. I know you other guys have the time, but I don't. It's so much more to do.
More to do now you're working from home.
More to do it when I
Good.
work from home,
Yeah.
and of course doing all the cooking and baking and all that stuff. But it's I have less time than I had when I went to work every day.
That's interesting.
So, Rob, are you ready to go next?
All right. I'll be glad to. This is something very short that I wrote, I don't know, last week, whenever it was. It's entitled Not Yet Spring. The moment of not yet spring passes like a breath. No hail notice will be made of chill winter's death. But the heart may die with one beat of not yet love. Stars fall from the sky. Done.
Very nice.
So sweet.
Beautiful.
I got
Very
a
good.
huge
I read that
one,
one.
but I wasn't
Yeah.
going to inflict you with that.
It's lovely.
Very nice.
Thank you.
Spring seems to be on the mind.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Now I've got both of my vaccinations, so next week I'll be able to go wherever I want to.
Yeah,
Do whatever I want to do.
be full of the joys of spring.
I think I'm going to go down to Texas and join the 40,000 people at that baseball game they're having next week.
Oh,
Is that insane?
That's a
or
good
what?
idea.
Oh, yeah. It's a great idea.
Yeah. in the middle of a pandemic.
Yeah.
Oh, well.
Ingrid, are you ready to read now?
I am. Well, I've got one poem that I linked up, but it's got a very rude word in it. So if that's going to offend anyone, I can
Nope.
read a different one. Does
Nope.
anybody take offense?
I'll-
Because I know some people. Okay, well,
I'll be terribly offended.
Benji's gone to bed, so we don't need to worry. Okay, well, I'm going to read the poem that I linked up tonight. When I find it, bear with me. It's called "Fuck Your Algorithm," and it goes. Sorry, my internet's very slow, so I'm just getting the poem up in front of me. Okay, here we go. Fuck your algorithms that tell me what you think I need. From Google ads for t-shirts featuring wine-drinking cats, to YouTube videos selected to match just what you've identified must be my taste in music. Here's a lesson for you, Google. No way can you match Nina Simone. Nor can you play me all that easily, like Hamlet's pipe. You're Guildenstern to me, as are you all big data technocrats who think you have me nailed. Create me a machine that can compose some halfway decent poetry and I'll retire, devoting the remainder of my days to learning who I am, thanks to your sacred algorithms, which can in no way match, nor ever touch the rhythms of my heart. That's it.
Boy, isn't that true?
Love it.
A bit of an angry one today. I'm in an angry mood, so I put up an angry poem.
I like the song.
I loved it in grade.
Well, one of the
Luke
things that
Taylor likes
amazes
that,
me
so.
most is that whenever I buy something online, I get a lot of ads saying, "Why don't you buy one more?"
Yeah,
Right.
I just have to talk about something in the living room and I get an advert for it on my computer and it really freaks me out. I really don't like it. So
Oh, you have one
my
of these
God.
Quite
loudspeakers,
creepy.
or
I have no idea. It's like Google's reading my mind. But apart from sometimes they get it wrong. So
Yeah, it's
Is
like
that
being
Alexa?
inundated with
I don't have Alexa, no.
They are actually trying to sort of wipe that out. So at the minute, if you have cookies on your computer, like if you go on a site, they can put a cookie on your computer and it can follow you off the site. But they're bringing in new legislation in the EU and in the USA, which will mean that they can only collect data about you while you're on the site. They can't
Yeah.
look where you go afterwards.
No, I don't
So
think that's
they won't
right
be
at
able
all.
to do that same level of targeted
Spying,
marketing.
really. Yeah, I think that's right. Because it's not on, is it?
the worst thing I think is that the algorithm
Ingrid.
sucks.
It's kind of
Ingrid, I enjoyed that very much. I
Good,
enjoyed that very
thank
much,
you.
except I didn't quite catch the first word. What was the first word of that poem again?
Yeah.
That was a very flip. It was flip.
Is that spelled with a PH
Yeah.
Yeah.
or an F?
That's right. Oh, please, nobody was too upset by that. So
it was a perfect word. Perfect
Yeah, just-
word for that.
I don't
Exactly.
use it. I don't use it all the time, but when I'm angry, I will put it in there. So there
I
you go.
think it's good to be
It was
angry.
good enough for, yeah.
When we are at this little bit of non-children poetry, is it okay that I read mine now? Do you want to hear it?
Of course. Yes, please.
Yes, of course.
It's
Beyond.
it's gonna
Please
be
go
one
ahead.
of these librarian poems again, and it's actually a rewrite of a poem that I don't think I wrote, at least not to diverse. I think some of you might have heard it, but it's now rewritten as well. And it's called Phoenix. Caged in solitude, moonless and lost, the ancient librarian shuffles on slippers through layers of dust in the limitless library, searching for a final believable apparition in the pulp fiction platitudes left in the wake of the righteous book-burning youths who claim that knowledge is merely a gravity rot of their nation's decay. Caged, he should have known that the holler of populist clowns repeating conspiracy lies was merely a canary bird singing to warn of circles of soot being drawn on our doors and the coming of windows to shatter and pyres to burn. But Cage, the librarian, smiles and chuckles with knowledge of books he kept hidden, knowing that even if he might be lost, from the ashes of verses, awareness can phoenix skyward, raising the knowledge again.
I recognise
That was
some of
brilliant.
that one, Bjorn. I recognise some of that.
Excellent. Excellent.
Yeah, I think you did. I think it was linked up to Toads or something like that, but it was actually
Yeah.
written for a fiction prompt. So it's one way of going across. So yeah.
Yeah.
I think you could make a really good book out of this, Age Librarian. Do you think
Oh,
about
yeah.
making it into a novel, or?
I'm thinking more of a poetry collection, but I'm almost thinking that I need to do layer it with fiction about
Yeah.
various or maybe even non-fiction, a fact book about libraries,
Mhm.
and then
Yeah.
you layer it.
That would be
Start.
interesting, really good. Yeah.
Yeah.
It would be wonderful if there was some type of an illustrator who could do, and I almost picture it as pen and ink
Yeah.
kind of
Yeah.
drawing.
Yeah.
It would be fantastic. I just adore that character, and I'm always so excited to see when you've written about him again.
Yeah. And just so you know, if you ever want to see where my inspiration comes from, you have to read Borges, because that is my true inspiration.
Yep.
Have you seen the illustrations, the original ones for Mervyn Peake's Gormenghast?
Oh yes,
There's a librarian in that.
Okay.
I agree. Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
No, I
Yeah,
haven't
he
seen
would.
those.
Yeah.
I agree. Yeah.
But I guess you have you read the? I guess you have, but it probably a long time. But this Umberto Eco,
Yes.
The Name of the Rose.
The Name of the
Yes.
Rose.
Oh,
And you
that,
remember that the villain in that book was the librarian.
Yours
The
is
bit
a
you mentioned about
villain.
the bit you mentioned about a non-fiction book about libraries. There, I was just wondering if anyone had seen the bookshop tours of Britain.
No.
It's a book I've given it for Christmas. It's literally a book, and it's all the independent bookstores in Britain.
Wow.
Oh,
That
nice.
looks really good.
And it's
Yeah.
I'll write that down.
It's split into section by section, and it tells you about the different bookstores.
Oh,
Nice.
And they're all independent ones as well. It's fantastic.
Oh, brilliant. That sounds
fantastic.
good. They've got some really nice ones there. I know.
But like something like that but for libraries would be
Yeah.
also really brilliant.
Yeah, I think so
Anything
too.
book related.
Mhm.
The
Absolutely.
oldest libraries in Europe. Oh my goodness. There could be some really good ones.
Yeah,
Oh, I bet. Yeah.
Isn't there one in Budapest? I'm sure there's one in Prague as well.
yeah. And they're different ages. There's actually a very nice one in Stockholm. You have to browse that. It's a modern
Yeah.
built in the 1930s, but it's really, really beautiful.
Yeah.
So
So you've got
it's
the British Library as well. That's an interesting one to go to. Or to write about even. Mm. That sounds
Meryl,
the
is
potential
it your
there.
turn now?
Hi there. I just wrote this today, so we'll see how this goes and see if my little feline pal here lets me read. Okay, this is called The Question. Mortal, we free fall in life aches, whispered wise, dark matter attracted, but questioning the spin, the drop. Still carbon-based, not immortal, but time holding, swallowed stars coursing through our veins, scattered light diffused, always there waiting, the flame, unknown or forgotten, a beacon within brain, heart, skin, or soul dimmed till it's released. In a dream, a blue river shines, calling me, and I wake with a vision remaining. I send it soaring, and does it live on in space-time? Not human, not mortal, but eternally star-sparked, circling forever. That's it.
Yeah, I love those cosmic poems. I think they're really lovely.
Yeah.
Great.
Maybe we should have a prompt on the cosmic inspiration. That would be great.
Mm.
Yeah, I just
We
go there.
had two before, but I think we need another one, definitely. We'll do one.
I mean, I some of you might not have seen them, but I used to write prompts about physics phenomena once. Some people found them really difficult to write to, and I can understand that, but like space time or something like that.
Mhm.
You remember
Yeah,
when I got permission from Hubble, and we had the photos out from Hubble, and I think I had 3 or 4 of them, and everybody wrote about them. I should try and do that again. That was really fun.
Yeah, that was
When
fun.
when I
sounds good.
picked it up, I put a photo from Hubble from Wikipedia. Yeah.
Mm.
So it's Helen now.
Yes. I've dedicated this poem to Sarah Everard and every woman on the planet. And it's called We Just Want to Get Home. We want to walk the night free of fear, not on high alert whenever a man is near. We want to enjoy the clear moonlight, not keep every shadow in sight. We want to walk the town alone, without a loved one on the phone. We want to wear high heels that go clickety-clack, without feeling predators' eyes on our backs. We want to wear short shirts, without it being a license to hurt. We want to go out for carefree fun, without remembering we have to be clear-headed enough to run. We want to live free, even if a man happens to something tempting see. We don't want to teach our daughters to fear the dark. We don't want to tell them to avoid every park. We don't want to teach our daughters how to prevent others not seeking their consent. We don't want to teach our daughters to always be on alert. We don't want to tell them to be suspicious of everyone who flirts. We don't want to teach our daughters all the strategies women use just to be able to go to parties. But even in trainers on soft feet, we worry about every man we meet. Even dressed in unshapely sack, we know we have to constantly look back. Even taking a taxicab or public transport, we know we might have an assault to thwart. Even with keys sticking from between fingers, that icy, icky fear lingers. We just want to get home without ending up dead, hidden beneath loam.
Well said.
Wow.
Really well
Intense.
said.
That is gorgeous.
Very
Yeah.
well.
So powerful.
Very true.
Extremely
Timely as well.
Yeah,
really
such a great
timely.
message.
And I want to say that as a man, I would prefer that not every woman looked at me as a predator. I find that very scary as well.
Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah,
That's
because
I
it's
especially like
just some
part about
people who
daughter.
purchase.
Yeah.
Mm.
I
No,
especially
certainly that will always
The
be
part about the
timely.
daughters, did you say?
Yes, I especially like that part where we do not
Yeah,
teach your daughters
too.
this and this. I thought that was excellent. It's a parallel, I think, of blacks who have to teach their children, a young black boy, how to be very careful. It's that kind of thing that it's just so awful to have to teach our children those kinds of lessons. I thought that was really, really powerful.
Yeah.
I really
Thank you.
felt that because my daughter used to live on the edge of Clapham Common, and she walked her dogs there. One summer I went to stay, and we took the dogs for a walk on the common. This long before she got married and had Lucas, and there was a man in the bushes exposing himself to us on Clapham Common. It was like, whoa! And I thought, well, if she was on her own, it would have been worse. It was good we were together, but that's the sort of thing you have to look out for all the time.
Last Friday, my husband and I found out that our baby, it's going to be a girl.
Oh,
We're having a daughter,
congratulations.
which
Well done.
was lovely. Literally, one of my first thoughts in the car on the way home was, I don't want my daughter to have to go through half the stuff I've gone through or that my friends have gone through that are women.
Yeah.
And
It's
it's
sad, isn't
absolutely
it?
terrifying, and she's not even here yet.
But
Yeah, it's so sad.
But I read once that maybe it's not the daughters who should tell, it's the boys, isn't it?
Yeah, it's the
That's
boys who
right,
need
yeah.
to learn.
Yeah, yeah.
absolutely.
Where does it come from? I don't
Yeah,
know.
exactly.
Yeah, it's
All this
education,
violence.
isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
But Bjorn,
Poetry. We need to teach them the boys poetry, and then
That's
they'll be
good,
more
you do.
understanding. Yeah.
Bjorn, I think your statement though that how it rubs off on men, that you don't want to feel that people
No.
are looking at you as a predator. I mean,
Yeah.
that's a whole nother side of it that is very well taken, very well taken.
I think we need to do, and I think usually it is that men should speak out as well, and
Yeah.
I think many of these predator men, we are afraid of them too, because many of them are violent men that also hurt other men. So
Yeah.
not always, but some of them are actually.
I think the bit about poetry is true though, because I when I first started going to poetry nights, I went to a poetry night in a town called Shrewsbury in Shropshire, where the car park for that was, there wasn't really much parking near where they were having the poetry, so I was parked quite a distance away. And I was going to it because I knew someone who'd introduced me to sort of the poetry scene there. And he lived in the opposite direction. But he always used to walk me back to his car, so I'd give him a lift home back to his house, because he wouldn't, like, because he knew I was walking, he'd change his plans to walk me back to my car, and then I'd give him a lift back so that he knew I wasn't on my own. Because even though it's a relatively safe area, it was that thing of, he knew, I didn't have to say to anyone, well, I don't particularly feel safe walking on my own as a 5 foot, tall woman. He just did it.
Yeah.
So there are
Exactly.
definitely people out there who are very aware of it, and men doing their parts to sort of be allies.
I know.
So maybe we can kind of wrap up this discussion positively. And Carol, maybe I can ask you, when is your baby due? So exciting.
July 31st.
Wow.
Lovely. Summer
So-
baby. Beautiful. Yeah.
We'll look forward to seeing some photos.
Yeah.
We've seen a photo,
Poetry about her at least.
I think.
Yes.
There has been a
Poetry
photo.
about being sleepless.
Yes.
I think we have seen a photo, haven't we? If I remember.
I wrote a poem called 14 Weeks and put it on the blog, and there's a picture of the first scan, the 12-week scan on there.
Yeah, I've seen a photo. I remember that.
Yeah.
So maybe Ron, it's your turn.
Okay. Gee, I don't have anything quite so earth-shattering as most of the rest of these poems. To be honest, I've been in a bit of a writer's block lately. And so I've just got this really short piece. And I'm not even sure of the title. I'm calling it Drawing the Blank. Because I'm in a bit of a block lately. And as I think I might have mentioned, or somebody assumed in one of our early meetings, I'm one of those people who still does morning pages. And so this was generated from that. It's about writer's block in the morning. Even the sleep-impaired, sleep-deprived, incoherent insomniac must comply. There will be no exceptions made, no exemptions granted. Even though the earliest light only magnifies the empty, it is precisely that magnification which is to be recorded. Rejection of the task is disallowed. Surrender to lassitude strictly forbidden. So, now what? Another Nagasaki morning, another Gone with the Wind? Not likely. Probably just some reheated leftover coffee and another screenful of nothing. That's it, short poem.
I don't
That's
think
so
I can
frustrating.
ever write a poem in the morning.
I need to have at least two cups of coffee before I can write anything in the morning.
Oh, yeah. Coffee
I'm the
first.
opposite.
Coffee always first.
I can't write in the evening. I have to. Morning, everything's happening around me.
Yeah, I'm better in the mornings, but not before coffee.
I'm about a midnight to 2 a.m. writer mostly.
Yeah, me too,
I
Ron.
do try and I try and do the morning pages. I get up and sit at the keyboard even if nothing happens for
Right.
at least half an hour. And sometimes I purposely just write drivel just to get juices flowing. But lately, it's been not so juicy. Not so juicy for me. But I just I've got a piece going to be published in an online journal coming up next week. I think Cabinet of Heed. That's the name of the journal. You can look them up. And the Phil Getty book should be coming out in the next couple of weeks. I haven't heard from the editor lately, but I'm looking forward to that. I've had one or two online pieces published as well. So I guess I'm hanging in there. I'm on target, so I guess I'm happy.
Very good.
And
Congratulations.
I'm always happy to hang out with you folks. So.
Yeah, it's good to be here.
We enjoy that.
Yeah, it's good to have you here.
Glad you're here.
Yeah. Ken, are you ready to take your poem live?
I am, and as usual, it's a short poem. Most of mine are. I've been experiencing severe iron deficiency syndrome since late last summer, and the doctors finally decided that they should do a iron infusion. So I had 2 sessions of that, and the last one was this morning. So I wrote this short poem when I came home. It was done at a cancer center, so I was sitting with chemo patients. So it was interesting. Therapeutic reminder. Placidly, one after another, they wait. A procession, a steady flow succumbing to a vital flow of a questionable future. Their wan smiles at the cheerfulness of those who attend to them, a reminder that hope, however subtle, still lives, their lives in the balance.
Oh.
That's it.
Yeah. It has to be.
That must be sobering.
Yeah.
Yes, it was. It was indeed. Both visits were.
Yeah.
Wow.
So very, very something you don't meet. I guess that they said something now relating back to COVID, that these times when it was as bad, people have not been used to live that much with death close to them as they have been during the last year or so. So I think it's a reminder actually. So that's.
Yeah. It was, and it's
I have to say that.
It's the first time I experienced something like that since like 30 years ago. I went with my father and I sat with him a couple of times when he was having dialysis, and it was the same thing. The people there are not healthy, and they're there for a reason.
Yeah.
I had the same thing, Ron, with my dad on dialysis. I went in one day, and the guy in the next bed was dead, and they hadn't had a chance to move him, and that was really quite horrifying.
Ooh.
Yeah, that really was.
I have to say my experience is the same, especially with those. I had a friend who was on dialysis, but I have to say that, before COVID came around, one of the things that I very often would do would be to go to either a doctor's office, my doctor's office, or the hospital and sit in waiting rooms, because I find it very inspirational. A lot of my poetry that I think is good and that has been published has come from just exactly those sort of settings, as
interesting,
gripping as they may be. There's such good stuff, and sometimes it's not about the medicine end of it, the life end of it. Yeah. One time I wrote this really great poem. Well, I say great. I wrote a really nice poem about a door in the waiting room. I didn't know where it went. They would come out of the door, and a patient would go in the door, and I just wrote about the door in the waiting room, and people loved it. So, yeah, there's something about hospital environs in general for me that's a real inspiration.
Have you found you felt better since they did the transfusion, the iron transfusion?
No, I had the first one today. The doctor says go back, see him in 3 months, and then 9 and a year, and they'll have lab tests each time and decide. I could need it again in a year. I could go 5 years and not need it. So we'll see what happens. He says that our bodies have a great potential, have a great iron retention. But I have abrasions within my small intestine. They're not enough to show bleeding. But over the years, there's blood loss and iron loss. So that's why the iron
Wow.
infusion. And hopefully this is it. You know, because I've had 5 endoscopies, 6 endoscopies in the last 9 months.
Oh,
Oh, my.
Well,
Both
I
ends.
certainly hope it works out and it does help you feel better and it's all the best.
Thank you. I
Yeah,
had a
really.
capsule study in which I swallowed a pill which was 1 inch long, and there was a camera so that they could take pictures of my small intestine. That was
wow.
You should definitely avoid magnets. That's my only advice. Magnets. No.
Well, I hope you feel better. I hope you feel better.
Yeah.
Okay, thank
Yeah.
you.
Okay.
I avoid magnets because of my pacemaker. That's not a good combination.
Sana, how about you?
Hi.
Are you ready to read now?
I am more than ready. I am eager.
Good.
All right then. Hi everybody. This is Sana Rizvi. I recently came across a poem. I was just going through my blog and I found this poem which I've linked today and which I'm going to read with you today. It's called "Who Knows Why Uncertainty Arrives with Such Ease at Twilight." And I wrote this during a time which was very difficult in my life. Like I didn't know what was going on, if I was going to get a job. Plus my father was having his health issues. So it was really, really difficult. So I thought that since we are living in the time of COVID and we do have uncertainty, so it will fit the bill. So here goes. Okay. I washed my hands of remains of yesterday and looked toward the hills as the sun beats down upon my skin, the one that sends new leaves bursting from the blackened buds, the one that tells how the mind is clear one moment and clouded the next. I have rehearsed the art of gathering sense and pulling oneself together 1,000,000 times. Uncertainty is a rose unwilling to bloom, the kind that resolves to wither as time goes. A whisper of breakage when you're unable to walk away, a symphony of heartache in the blackness of night. I hold on to knowledge, its blinding light, for what's better to battle demons with when the stars align? Uncertainty is when you're convinced that tofu salad isn't half as succulent as you thought it so. Everyone has fears, everyone has doubts. Each and every one of us is a warrior fighting so that dreams one day can be fulfilled. I mouth prayer into the abyss of the unknown, lie within chaos and strive to create comfort. I'm not the type to embrace black humor. Instead, I favor tasted hope that strings across a promenade, when days begin to feel like distant places. Everyone is calm on the surface when inward reality there is brewing a storm. Nowadays, minutes is melting into minutes. Not a day goes by without longing to see your face. I'm certain light will withstand darkness, so I fill the empty spaces of my poems. I'm no stranger to forgotten mugs of coffee, plethora of orchids going dark and crying in the bathroom. Again, the heart is thrown into misadventure. Again, I rise and disregard the fogged up sky. We can never entirely be sure of anything, but we can opt to choose faith. How else do you expect to survive on this planet? I washed my hands of remains of yesterday and looked toward the hills.
It's lovely.
Thank you.
So full of optimism. It's really nice.
I enjoyed
Good
it.
to
I
hear.
like the circularity of that one.
Exactly. I was just gonna
Yeah.
say that the
Yeah.
meaning of the first and last sentence had changed when you came back with that positivity. The washing became that you actually looked forward.
Thank you.
I liked it.
Thank you so much.
What was that line? The symphony of
Darkness.
The symphony of heartache in the blackness of night.
Yes, that's the one. Yeah, I love that line.
Thank you.
Yeah. Very nice. Very nice.
Thank you.
So, I think of those that have linked up, I think Carol. Now it's your turn. And then we have Michelle if you want to read something.
Sure.
Just I've actually linked up the poem I wrote for Tuesday's prompt, which was
Yeah.
the one I called Another Nothing Moment.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna read that. This being human is heavy tonight, and I'm thinking of the gym sauna, cedar hot against my skin, aching from the distance I made it run. But still, now in the dry heat, almost frozen still, in fact, as the man in his 50s chats, learns what my parents do, starts explaining how fucked up things are with the EU single farm payments and why pay for British when we could have it cheaper. And all the world will open up once Brexit is done. He wears his smile like a victory. Asks, then tells me he has won this debate. Proud to have converted a farmer's daughter to his way of seeing things. My only 2 sentences crumbling beneath. Well, of course we'd be better off if this government let agriculture simply die. And I am trying not to do the same. Mute in my panic, trying not to shrink beneath him. Fixed somewhere I do not want to be, but cannot leave without fleeing. And the others here are so silent, careful to keep their eyes averted from whatever it is they can hear. So I wait him out with compliance, with my lack of argument or voice. And when he leaves, I catch a look from another guy, hear his comment, well, that was weird, and tell myself, it's over, it is done now. If anyone asks, it was nothing.
Wow. You had me at the first line.
Yeah.
I really
One
like
of
that
those-
first line.
Yeah. I've been in a similar situation and it's really awkward and horrible, really.
It was very potent.
He was someone who was quite regularly at the gym, so it reached the point where if I saw him like anywhere in the saunas or the steam rooms, I was like, well, I'm not going in there now, and take someone else.
And you don't want to get drawn into an argument, but you don't want to agree either. So it's like,
Yeah, I think he was just someone who very much just wanted an audience,
yeah.
but didn't, wanted a soapbox that he could stand and sort of preach from, and didn't actually want anyone else to join in his.
Yeah, I didn't want to listen to the other side
Yeah.
of things at all. Yeah.
No,
Just
you
venting.
win by
Just venting.
That's another way of winning, you know. You always win if nobody are is
If you
against you.
don't give people a chance to argue. But
Yeah. That's,
I like when you said that he declared himself the victor. I don't know your exact words, but yeah,
without having listened to you.
right.
you know, it's somebody says you will be so tired of winning. I don't know who it was, but it sounds similar, doesn't it?
I think it was that smile, the smile that you wrote about in that poem, Carol. It made me cringe. It really did.
Yeah, you weren't the only one cringing.
Yeah, I think we've all met him somewhere.
Yeah, it's really awkward in those situations as well, because my dad's part of the British Limousin Society, and he's very keen on conservation and things like that. So on one hand, I was sat there like, well, I should say something, because I really don't believe in what he's saying. I really believe in British farming. On the other hand, I'm sat here in my bikini.
Yeah.
I am not really in a position of power here.
Yeah, it's not
No, you're quite
like a
vulnerable
place
when
where...
you're in the sauna.
Carol,
I agree.
always wear your wellies in the sauna.
Yeah.
That is
stay
not a
true to your
sauna.
roots.
And this is clear. I mean, if you are from Sweden or Finland, anybody here we are always nude in the sauna. Otherwise, it's not a sauna.
Yeah.
But that would mean that he
did
would
that
have
in
been nude
Britain,
as
it
well.
caused quite a stir.
Then he would have been nude as well, and he would be quite vulnerable if he would have been totally nude. Okay, so I think that everybody had a chance except, let me see here. I think we have, who else do we have here? So we just don't miss anyone.
Michelle.
Michelle, you have been quiet, but I think you should be able to allow to
I have
read
been quiet.
read one.
Sure. Thank you. I didn't link up because I was just going to read my prosary piece that I wrote for Meryl's prosary on Monday. So
That's perfect. And I have
it's called 9 o'clock. I don't know the reason I wake up around 9 every morning, late in terms of the working world. Being outside of that, it seems perfect. I'm not sure what makes me sit in the same corner of my couch, hands warmed by my hot tea, slippered feet curled up, sun spilling on my face. I don't know why at that very moment when everything felt fine in my world, yours was exploding. How could I possibly slumber while you edge closer to your demise? What reason is there for my contentment and your pain? I prefer keeping in mind even the possibility that existence has its own reason for being, and you had your reason for leaving it.
I need to catch up with the final entries there. I haven't read them all, I think, yet. So it was a great one, and I think it was a good prompt. I read some really good ones there.
Mm-hmm.
That was a very emotional.
Yeah.
Right. It's quite beautiful, Michelle.
Yeah, really
Thank you. I'm still kind of writing through my grief, I think, but
Absolutely.
Sometimes that's good.
Yeah, it can be therapeutic, but can be hard as well, yeah?
Yeah.
I'm still writing poems 3 years on from a friend of mine. He overdosed and unfortunately didn't make it, and I'm still writing poems about it. It's basically the same poem each time, but it gets a little bit better with each one, I think.
Yeah.
Some people I can write about that I've lost, and some people I still can't. So I must be at different stages of the grieving process. But I think when it feels like you can do it, if it helps, you should do it.
Yeah. For some people, it's a good release. For others, it's just too hard.
Yeah. But just go with the flow. Yeah.
That's right.
We thank you for sharing.
Yes, thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay. Now I have you also, and thank you so much for this session. And
thank you.
And it's we were a little bit fewer today, but I really liked the conversation, and I hope that the recording will be good this time as well.
Thank you for making it possible.
Yeah, it's
really
a lot
good.
of fun
thank
to
you,
have
Dawn.
this. Yeah.
We'll see you all. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.